For Pacifica Radio, I'm Scott Baba. Russia has unleashed what may be one of the biggest aerial barrages against Ukraine since the war began, killing several people, according to Ukraine's president. Julia Chapman reports.
Ukraine says Russia carried out one of its worst ever attacks on the country on Friday. At least 12 people have been killed and dozens are injured. President Volodymyr Zelensky says Moscow fired 110 missiles, 87 of which were shot down by air defenses. Those figures would make this Russia's largest aerial attack since its invasion of Ukraine. A spokesperson for Ukraine's Air Force says a wave of suicide drones was followed by missile launches from Russia. They took aim at Kyiv, Lviv, Odessa, Kharkiv and Dnipro, leaving several buildings damaged and people trapped under the rubble. Ukrainian officials have warned that Russia was stockpiling weapons for a major attack. The Kremlin has yet to comment. Meanwhile, the Polish army says an unidentified aerial object entered the country's airspace from the border with Ukraine on Friday. I'm Julia Chapman.
Tens of thousands of Palestinians have streamed into a southern Gaza town as Israel expands its offensive in the center, where hospital officials said dozens were killed today. Karen Chamis reports.
Israel told residents of central Gaza to head south, but even as the displaced have poured in, the southern town of Rafah has not been spared. A strike Thursday evening destroyed a residential building, killing well over a dozen people, according to the media office of the nearby Al-Kuwaiti hospital. By the site of the strike in Rafah, mourners gathered around an opened body bag, waiting for their turn to kiss the face of a loved one killed from the attack, as the sound of Israeli jets hovered above. Displaced resident Omar Kanan told the AP, "They're liars. They ask you to evacuate and send you to an area, and after many families gather there, they hit you." Israel blames the high death toll on Hamas, which it accuses of embedding inside the civilian population. I'm Karen Chamas.
The decision by Maine's Secretary of State to bar former President Donald Trump from the ballot will inevitably increase pressure on the U.S. Supreme Court to settle the issue of Trump's eligibility once and for all. Catherine Carley filed this report.
All of this, I think, at least before the general, is screaming out for the Supreme Court to say, here's who is disqualified under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, and here's who is not.
Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson says the Supreme Court needs to rule on former President Donald Trump's right to hold office. On Thursday, Maine's Secretary of State removed Trump from the primary ballot there, a week after the Colorado Supreme Court also disqualified him because he led the January 6th insurrection. The Colorado GOP is appealing that ruling, and State Party Chair Dave Williams says if Trump isn't on the ballot, they could ignore the primary election and award delegates by caucus.
When you have unelected judges who were appointed by our opposition party dictating who we may nominate and who we may potentially vote on, we can't allow that to stand.
I'm Catherine Carley for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
Documents obtained by the Associated Press show that the Air Force has known for 2 decades that toxins were lurking in its underground nuclear missile launch capsules, but did not tell the airmen manning the facilities. Sagar Magani reports.
The documents show the Air Force was told about dark liquid festering on the floor, computer displays oozing a fishy-smelling gel, asbestos readings 50 times higher than EPA safety standards.
My husband was definitely exposed to things that a daily human in normal life would not be exposed to.
Doreen Jennis's husband, Jason, was a missileer, an airman serving 24-hour shifts in underground capsules at Montana's Malmstrom Air Force Base. He died of cancer at 31 in 2001. When the first reports of cancer among other missileers surfaced around then, the Air Force assured them then and since that all was well.
It makes me really frustrated and a little angry that they can keep telling these young men and women that they're not finding anything, knowing back in 2001 and 2003 and early 2000s that there was something going on there.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
The Justice Department warned the state of Texas yesterday that it plans to sue over a new state law that would allow local police to make immigration arrests. Last week, Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott signed SB 4 into law, which authorizes local and state police to arrest undocumented immigrants and empowers state judges to order such people removed from the country. According to Abbott, the statute will, quote, help stop the tidal wave of illegal entry into Texas, add additional funding to build a more border wall, and crack down on human smuggling. But federal courts have long held that immigration enforcement is the responsibility of the federal government, not state or local authorities. That's a view that the Supreme Court upheld when it struck down parts of an Arizona law in 2012. I'm Scott Baba for Pacifica Radio.